He hits me.
Approved.
But if I leave, I have nothing.
He will have half his worth. All women will get half of the estate. Shoot them if need be.
I'm free.
Of him? Yes.
Catherine wanted to help women escape unhappy marriages, so she established the divorce system. However, after the new system was implemented, many women ended up with nothing after divorce, and some even took their own lives out of despair.
Get inside, or you will be shot! But he's left me with nothing! Now!
When Catherine returned to the divorce office, she discovered it had turned into a matchmaking hub. A wealthy, almost dying old man had become the perfect target for young women. Archie tried to convince Catherine to abolish the divorce system. He explained that many people were exploiting the system, divorcing and remarrying repeatedly. Meanwhile, divorced women were left with nothing, and the situation was getting worse. During her break, Catherine saw her old friends fighting over the effects of the system. Deeply moved, she decided to change the divorce law. She began personally reviewing every divorce application and required applicants to state their reasons. Catherine also introduced a new rule. Women who divorce would be entitled to half of their husband's property.
I married and fucked Nadia, which is all I wanted, really. And now I want to move on. So that's me.
Happy to do so. Half his estate, you said.
Sorry, what?
Have you been drinking?
None of your business.
Not me. I'm the designated driver.
Where are you coming from?
We don't need to tell you where we're coming from.
A concert. This isn't right. Guys,
Step out of the car.
please, sir, we really didn't do anything.
Step out of the car.
I'm sorry. I didn't know about the taillights.
Everyone, out of the car, now. Who owns the drugs?
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? It's not ours.
Last time, who owns the drugs? All right, you're all under arrest for criminal possession of a controlled substance.
Hey, you don't understand.
Hands on the hood.
Got 4 under for criminal possession of a controlled substance.
It's not my drugs.
I got 3 more saying the same thing. Tell me you're not that, Reagan.
My grandfather's the PC. That's what you mean.
Sarge, think you need to get the CO down here.
Mom, who owns the drugs?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Do you know how serious this is? Yeah. It's felony weight. That means you'll have a felony on your record. Do you understand that? The drugs aren't mine.
Doesn't matter if they're yours or not, Nikki. Penal law is clear on this. If someone doesn't come forward and claim ownership of the cocaine, you're all going to be charged on felony possession.
It's a C felony. That means 1 to 5 years if you're convicted. No, I'm not going to stop. Are you willing to do that? I told you the drugs aren't mine. Then wise up and give up whoever they are. I'm not sure. I'll see you in the morning in court. I have to stay here?
That court's closed.
Every time David came over to crash at his friend John's place, John's wife Anna would kneel down in front of him to make his bed, and David would always fix her with a possessive gaze, quietly admiring her 6-foot-tall frame from behind. Only when Anna turned around did his eyes soften back to their usual shy look. He thought his secret staring would never be discovered, but Anna had long since picked up on his odd behavior still. She never called him out on his little crush, because she felt the exact same way about David. It all started the first time John invited David, a film director, to stay with them. Anna was instantly drawn to his brooding aura. She'd often linger in the background, watching him play with their daughter, and even went out of her way to bring him breakfast every morning, slowly closing the distance between them. Before long, David found himself equally infatuated with Anna. Finally, on the day he was leaving John's house, David couldn't hold back any longer. He kissed her, but he didn't offer a single explanation afterward. He just left. He hoped that time apart would let him forget Anna for good. Yet the moment he saw her again during his next visit to John's, his heart still raced uncontrollably. That very night, fate intervened. John had to leave town on a business trip to perform a piano recital. As usual, Anna went to make David's bed, and the two of them locked eyes in the room, the air thick with awkward tension. Anna had been dying to ask what that kiss meant, but for the sake of her family, she could never bring herself to say the words. In the end, she turned and started to walk out. But she only got a couple of steps before she couldn't take it anymore, so she turned right back around. Instead of confronting him, though, she asked David for a favor. She told him she'd always dreamed of being an actress, and she wanted him, as a director, to test her acting skills. With John away for the night, Anna suggested David put on John's pajamas and pretend to be her husband, so she could see if she had what it takes to commit fully to her art. David instantly understood what she was really saying. He stared down at the pajamas in his hands, hesitated for a moment, then changed into them, walked into the bedroom, and lay down beside Anna. That night, David played the part of John to perfection.
Halfway through his meal, the prisoner suddenly dropped the spoon he was holding. He noticed that half of it had fallen into shadow. Mike paused thoughtfully, then kicked the spoon back toward the door and quietly covered it with his foot. Soon enough, the guard came to collect the meal trays. The careless guard didn't even glance down before gathering up the dishes and walking away. The moment the guard left, Mike snatched up the spoon and began grinding it repeatedly against the rough floor. Before long, he tested the sharpened utensil's effectiveness. To his surprise, with just a gentle pry, the wooden plank on the cell door immediately loosened. Seeing the enormous gap that suddenly appeared before him, Mike made a bold decision on the spot. But realizing it was still daylight and guards could come by at any moment, he didn't dare act rashly. He could only hide the metal spoon for now. When night fell, Mike resumed his plan. Using the sharpened handle, he gradually widened the crack between the door planks. To avoid detection, he stopped every 2 minutes or so to listen carefully for any sounds outside. At the slightest hint of anything unusual, he'd immediately freeze, and only after confirming it was safe would he continue. After 2 solid days of scraping, the wooden plank had clearly begun to loosen. To get his body through, he'd need to remove 3 planks. As the gap became more obvious, Mike rolled blackened bits of paper into thin strips and stuffed them into the cracks to block the light. He handled every detail with extreme caution. During the day, Mike acted as compliant as any other prisoner while secretly observing the layout of the first-floor guard room. At night, he continuously scraped away wood shavings. Finally, one evening, he determined the crack was large enough to remove the planks. Mike inserted the spoon handle into the gap and pressed down hard, but the spoon snapped clean in two. Mike grabbed a rag and wrapped the spoon tightly, but aside from making a harsh creaking sound, the plank showed no response. Clearly, he needed another spoon. The next day at mealtime, Mike acted quickly, smoothly snagging one from the windowsill. Back in his cell, he didn't hesitate for a second. He immediately inserted both soup spoons into the gap and pried with all his strength. Because the upper plank was already weakened, a large chunk broke off completely. Mike instantly replaced the fallen piece of wood, then gathered up the scattered splinters and filled them back in, determined to leave no trace that the guards might notice. Next, he carefully colored over the exposed white scrape marks with pencil and finally hung a towel over the upper part of the door.
The streets of Los Angeles might be the most dangerous place in America. Julie was suddenly attacked on her way to school. John was hit by 3 bullets before he could react. Julie immediately accelerated and got rid of the gunman. Then she drove to the nearest hospital for help. This scene was just witnessed by an off-duty police officer. Deacon immediately called nurses to carry the injured out of the car. Just then, the armed thugs arrived at the hospital too. They resolutely launched an attack on Julie.
Did you get a look at them?
Not really. It's them!
Get down!
The robbers didn't expect to encounter SWAT team members at the hospital gate. Deacon temporarily repelled the enemy with his excellent shooting skills. The police couldn't figure out why the killers wanted to assassinate 2 ordinary college students. Julie said she had been followed by a black car recently. She had recorded the other party's license plate number with her phone. Through tracking the vehicle registration information, the police locked onto a detective agency. Faced with Hondo's questioning, the detective remained very calm. He claimed that he had been hired by Julie's father to follow her. At the same time, the killer didn't give up the assassination attempt. He ambushed a doctor at the hospital gate and stole his access pass. Deacon rushed to the hospital immediately after receiving the call. The killer's target was Julie's boyfriend. Although John was hit by 3 bullets, he was lucky to survive. Hondo instructed the crowd to leave the hospital at once. Then a fierce gunfight broke out between the 2 sides in the corridor.
Cover me. Drop the gun, hands in the air!
He went to the bathroom 10 times a day, but never wiped. Instead, he rolled the toilet paper into little balls, dampened them, squeezed out the excess water, applied glue to hold their shape, wrapped them in more paper, and through repeated pressing and molding, eventually crafted a working key to break out of prison. When a guard removed Mike's handcuffs, he quietly stuffed the paper wad into the keyhole, allowing him to easily push open the small window and reach the electronic lock outside. But the question remained, how would he get the passcode? The clever Mike glanced at the milk carton in his hand and instantly had an idea. He flattened the carton, unfolded it, and used a spoon to scrape out the waxy lining inside. When the guards weren't looking, he pressed the wax film onto the keypad. This way, when someone entered the code, their fingerprints would be left behind. And by matching those prints to the buttons, he could figure out the 4-digit combination. After some trial and error, the cell door finally swung open. But Mike knew that escaping would take much more than that. He needed 2 things. First, to learn the guards' patrol patterns and find the right window of opportunity. Second, someone on the outside to help him get away. This seemingly airtight prison actually had one fatal flaw. Right next to solitary confinement was a fire station with 0 security.